Here at today's verdict, we ask you to write in with any questions you may have that you want us to help you with. I recently received an email from Todd from Parkchester who inquired as to what the rights are of an employee who leaves the employment because of a medical emergency and now wants to come back to the same position they had. And the email basically wondered, did he have a right, or does a person have a right to go back to the same job? That's a very interesting question. And what you're talking about here is the Family Medical Leave Act. And it was enacted in 1993 to give employees the right to leave an employment because of a medical emergency and to be able to come back to the position that they had before they left. But it's not just for your own medical emergency. It could be because a relative has a medical emergency. But that's where the statute gets fairly specific. You know, your parent, yes. Your child, yes. Your stepdaughter or stepson, no. Your in-law, no. So there are certain exceptions where you would not be able to claim you're taking care of somebody else as a medical emergency. But let's say you do have a true medical emergency, or a loved one that you were taking care of and is covered under the statute has a medical emergency, and now you want to leave. You have to leave. So you tell your employer that you're going to be leaving the employee. Well, here are certain conditions. First of all, if you're in the public sector, it's not a problem. You can always leave and you'll have this particular, assuming you meet the other things that I'm going to get into, it's fine. The issue is, what if you're in the private sector? Well, there are a couple things have to qualify. First of all, your employer has to have at least 50 employees. That's number one. Number two, you have to make sure that and this almost always happens, the employer is engaged in what's considered to be industry or commerce. That's not too tough to make sure happens. Number three, you have to have been employed at this company for at least 1 year. Doesn't mean 1 year for the entire 12 months in a row. It could be intermittently, but it has to be at least for a year. Or you have to log at least 1,250 hours. Fine. Now let's say you've done that, okay, and you're ready to leave. Well, you have to give 30 days notice, right? Then what the employer can ask for is some type of medical documentation showing you that either you, your child, your relative, your mother has this medical emergency, and that they will take a look at it, and then you will leave. And you will go on your, how long? Good question, 12 weeks. That's what you get. You get 12 weeks. Doesn't necessarily have to be 12 weeks in a row, but it's 12 weeks. Now, you're away and you're not there for 12 weeks. Well, your employer has a right to check up and see how you're doing, to see when you're coming back, to call you, to ask for periodic updates. There's no problem with that. They are allowed to do this. But here's the thing, and this is the interesting thing, Todd, that a lot of the viewers may not realize. You can't combine the Family Medical Leave Act with other acts that give you the right to leave your employee. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're pregnant and you're covered by the Pregnancy Discrimination Act. And that gives you 10 or 12 or whatever it is weeks to be able to leave. I think it's 12. I'm not quite sure. Now you come back from being pregnant and you have, let's say, you say, you know what, at this point, I think I need some more time and I want to take a medical leave. Well, it doesn't work that way. You don't get both. You don't get coverage under the Family Medical Leave Act and combine it with the Pregnancy Discrimination Act, so you would get 24 weeks. That's not fair to your employer. It wouldn't make sense. So basically you have to make sure that you come under one particular act, you give the requisite notice, and you make sure that your employer knows what's going on during that time. Now, let's finish up. You come back to your employment, and guess what? Somebody else has your job. So your employer says to you, don't worry, we're going to put you someplace else. That's a no-no. They got to give you the exact same job that you had when you left the employment. The pay amount too, including the same rate of pay that you were on. It's not fair if they say to you, well, you know what, we'll keep you at the same pay, but we're going to give you, Bob's job or Betty's job. Well, that wasn't the job you had when you left. Okay? It's mandated by the Family Medical Leave Act. You get to go back exactly to that same position. The most important thing is just make sure you come under the statute. If you come under the statute, you'll be protected. You give the notice. All right, Todd, I hope that helps you. And remember, if you have any questions or anything that you'd like me to talk to you on the show, please email me at davidlesch@bronxnet.org. See you next time.